Okay, so let's get started. Yeah. Uh, so we talk about Katrina as an event. To me, it was like a life-changing event. When you look out there, oh my God, it looked terrific. But if you look at today, okay, in 2005, on the 28th of August, 2005. So this is where the residents rotated on August 28th. Was Charity Hospital was huge. This is the VA, which is now not there. And of course, we are Tulane. This played a huge role. So Tulane Lakeside is a hospital in Merritt. Now, not a big hospital, but HCA and Tulane were wanting to buy it from the physicians' owners. It took us like a couple of years, and it's you know how the attorneys like to prolong things, big charge by the hour. So years and years, nothing's happening. 2 months before Katrina, the deal is done, and we called it Tulane Lakeside Hospital. 2 months before, it's like a God given. So this was before that happened, and of course, this is today. As you look back, we still have Lakeside, but the VA you saw is the VA here. Now we are at East F, and of course, we have UMC. But a lot happened before that. So where was I? So he was in Paris. I was at the World Congress in Amsterdam. That was the president at that time. So I happened to be in a city which is below water, the state, and they had these windmills that would have the canals, the water would flow over into the canals now. So I was there making around there, tour, and the meeting goes on. And then, you know, Eric Castle was there. We were at dinner, we were presenting and on the faculty. And while we're having beer, what's happening is there is something brewing in the Gulf of Mexico. So to give you a story that is happened for years and years and years before this, so there used to be a lot of these storms we used to have, Ida and this and that. So most of them, they would come towards us and take a right turn, a left turn, never hit us. So this medical school would be our refuge because we don't know if it's going to hit. So we'd come here, and my family would sleep in my office. Husband's family would sleep in his office. Sicker's family, and so on and so forth. This would be the common place. They have lunch and dinner. There's a kitchen there. If there's food, there's always the hospital. There's always food. So this was always a place that we came in. Would be have a hurricane party. We're not supposed to have booze, but that's the real life goes. Then next morning it's gone to Mississippi, we all leave. Oh, it went to Texas, we'd all leave. So that was our hurricane story we had for decades. So this time it was different because now all of a sudden it was headed towards us. But a category 4, category 3, it's a lot to a direct hit. But normally, it wavers off a little bit, but this time it did not. So last minute, it actually veered towards Mississippi. So we didn't get a direct hit. As usual, my wife and kids were here. We had a couple of residents. We had a total of 18 people were here in these rooms here. So I called them. I said, I need to get back home. I said, okay, you can go, but you may be stuck in Atlanta. I said, I'll go. So I left early. So
the danger this hurricane poses to Gulf Coast communities. I urge all citizens to put their own safety and the safety of their families first by moving to safe ground.
The curfew will go into effect 1.5 hours from now. It will be dusk till dawn. Many people here are wondering just what that dawn will bring.
So these actual television photographs at that time, I mean, big deal. This is where the levee broke. My veterans and the parish line, you can imagine what it does. We did not get the brunt of the hurricane because it moved east, but if the levee broke, all the water that was there just came into town. Quiz, you talk about levees. What percentage of the population in the US lives behind levees? Because he was saying, man, New Orleans, we can do without the US Corps of Engineers. Anybody, quick guess?
0.6%.
0.6%.
No.
Don't,
20%.
don't underestimate yourself. The answer is on Google, of course. It's about 55, now it's 58% are protected by levees. And they're still flooding the Red River and this and that up north. It's a lot of levees. So the Army Corps of Engineers is a huge undertaking. Yeah. All right. So this is again looking outside our window, just this building. This is LaSalle Street, and that's our parking garage where some of you parked today. And the next day. And of course, I was in Atlanta in a hotel, no flights to New Orleans. So I told my wife, we all stay there. I think next morning, she says it's dry, no problem. This was in the afternoon. It was just that quick. Then, of course, this is looking north towards UMC now. So I was seeing all these people walking on canal and this and that, and there might be looting. So I told my wife, I said, stay there, because we were already trying to airlift people from here. I said, don't leave. But she said, we've got 18 people here. Hellstrom and his family left the next day when it was still kind of dry. So we still had 18 left here. I said, don't leave. Click. Cell phone line's gone. And I used the hotel thing. I was able to get the landline. How's it going? Things okay? How about food? And a click, that's gone. So there was no lights. There's no ventilation. It's humid. She said it was a real mess. And there are, kids. Both my kids were there, the other kids were there. She had bought, in her van, she had bought like bleach and stuff. I said, thank God. So she was able to at least clean up. Water flushing was difficult. So they had to come up with a plan. This is what we do. There's limited paper napkin that. You can't leave. And of course, in the middle of that, there was some gunmen in the building. So don't open the door. It was like a real mess. I could see that. And I'm stuck there. So the next day, this is, by the way, inside the medical school on the first floor, the DH and all this. It's all, you know, the problem with building those days, the hotel charity, the power generators and all that was on the basement. It happened at NYU when they had Sandy. So then they had to move things up. But that was the way it was built then. It was in a basement. So the water comes and all the power equipment is gone. Gone. And of course, we had to airlift people. This is charity. So you could see this is actually, you know what, this is the bullpen. So this is where the professors, and this is the lecture hall, and then they would have the bullpen, you know, like the cases like we have our M&N and stuff like that, and case presentations and stuff. It's all had water. And then what do? You have patients on respirators, you've got patients who can't breathe, who have to be taken care of. So for us, of course, all of a sudden, you know, what do? Patients have biopsies, nephrostomy tubes, and SP tubes, and needing chemo, radiation therapy. Where are they? You know, it's a surreal situation on stoppage of what's going on. You know.
Was that a charity or Tulane, Dr. T, that picture?
That picture, let me go back. That was actually a charity, waiting airlifting of patients to the roof.
It's a crazy picture.
It is. Now, I'm the residency program. The rules are you can only lose 5 weeks, otherwise you've got to repeat a year. That's the rule. So now my panic is, where are the residents? Why? Because all the cell phones are gone. I had a small cell phone, flip phone. There's nobody to call, nobody to talk. I have no idea where the residents are. And I was personally responsible for all this. I couldn't reach faculty, I couldn't reach anybody. So all of a sudden I have a big cross to bear. The problem was there's no dean's office. There's no GME office. There is no instruction manual. It never happened before. I have no idea where everybody is. I'm sitting here, you know, in Atlanta. I said, man, oh man, this is.
I'm sorry to back you up. Who are those people in the picture?
I'll get to that in a second.
Okay.
Yeah. You see, I'm in a freaking boat. So again, you know, these are patients lined up to be evacuated. The only way they could get out really was helicopters on Tulane as well as UMC. So here I am. I'm in Netherlands, and of course I finally got a Delta flight, and I landed, and I'm stuck here. I can't talk to my wife or kids or anybody. So the only thing I could get was a flight to Baton Rouge. There's one ticket left. I said, please hold it. I went and I took that to Baton Rouge. Now I'm stuck in Baton Rouge. So I have a friend who actually was an industry person. His name is Gary Ventrella. He became a savior. So I said, hey, Gary, hey, Dr. T, where are you? I've been thinking about you. I said, I'm arriving in Baton Rouge. Well, come and meet you. So he meets me. I said, we need to go to New Orleans. Dr. T, I don't think you can go because it's like curfew that you can't go on I-10. It's closed. You can't. I said, listen, for some reason, I had my charity hospital badge with me and my medical license, you know, in my wallet. So I said, let's go. Oh, you sure? So between Baton Rouge and New Orleans, we had 4 or 5 stops. You know, they check you, you can't go in. But when the moment I said I'm a physician charity, they said, go, don't pass the line. They let me through, and I finally came through. All this was water. We could not drive, so we had to go from Causeway. Airline was flooded, so we went to Clearview on to Creepy Long Bridge, Western Express Highway, and then on the other side of Crescent City connection. Can't go, but I have to go and help out the people. So the sheriff said, okay, go, go. So we went, and then we came on this side, and luckily there was a Texas boat were there. So they brought us from by the train station. You know, we have the train station by I-10. So we had to have boats. So I said, take the boat. So we came boats up Loyola, then took a left on Tulane Avenue. We came to the front of the medical school, and you can't get in because there's 3 feet of water on each side. You can't open the door. I said, man, where can we go? I said, all right, go next to the medical school and take me to the parking garage. So those days there was no gates, so we went up in there, and I was able to walk up on the tarmac of the cars. Got there, Gary was with me, the two of us. I said, let's go. Maybe the door is open from the parking garage. It was open. So I'm going, pitch black, because all the lights are on. I said, Gary, don't worry about it. Oh, Doc, smells of. I said, Gary, this is life and death. The guy who was with the boat said, 6 o'clock is curfew. So I can pick you up by 5:45, which is about 30 minutes to go. Get everybody down. But do me a favor, can you get me 2 boats? Doc, now you're asking for a lot. I need 2 boats because there are 18 of us. And then we came in here, and I told George, we're going by Braille, hold my hand. And I was able to find my way up the stairs, up the corridor. And I came here and I saw my wife by the McGee's office there. She was actually sitting on the window reading a book. And I saw her, and she looked this way and looked back, because she said, we can't open the door, there's somebody with a gun possibly here. And I said, bang, bang. And she finally came, opened the door. I said, Ginny, 25 minutes. Where's everybody? She said, well, yeah, yeah. I said, go, let's call and get them, because once you go, then you can wait till tomorrow morning. So, you know what it is to evacuate 18 people in 15 minutes? It's tough. Finally, Dr. Sikka was there. I said, everybody, nobody talks with me. But nobody talks but me. We all get in line, hold hands, let's go. Oh, I got to figure less is better because there's no space. We'll come back and get all that stuff. All kinds of, I said, I don't have no opinion. Those who want to come, be leaving in 5 minutes. He was there. His son had a parrot. We took the parrot also with us. You could not leave a living thing behind. So we took that. A lot of the luggage was left behind, and we held hands to the dog. Okay, guys, we're taking it right. And then step 1, step 2, there are 8 steps. Don't fall. Because we have no time here. So we finally, about 6:50, by now it was 5:50, 55, and there were 2 boats. The guy went and got another boat. And we were able to get all 18 out. Because if we didn't do that, the next morning they shut down and everybody was air evacuated. Some to Lafayette, some to the airport, some to Baton Rouge, and we all split up. So I told my wife, don't move. So she listened, get everybody together. So that's the saga of rescuing the department, PhDs, students, some friends. So that's what happened. And this is the boat. So this is taking the boat and evacuating. There were some friends. And then, of course, what we had to do, we couldn't stay here, so we had to get back to Baton Rouge because everything is closed. I did do one thing that maybe I shouldn't have done. When we were leaving, I told Gary, so many were left, but the van was full. They said, I need to go to my home. I said, what are you, crazy? You can't go because there's curfew. And there was helicopters. I said, no, I can tell them I need to go pick up something. The reason I just wanted to see it, and it's the best thing I did. So he had a Jeep, so he going through, was every street was pretty much blocked, but we were able to get. Luckily, I had 2 of my sky roofs were blown away. That is 4 feet by 4 feet, 16 square feet. Open to the atmosphere, whether there was rain, It's gonna be a total disaster. So I said, let's go take a look. So we pulled out the carpets was went out. Okay, let's leave. So we, about 50 minutes we left. But at least I knew that. So then we went to Gary's house. We stayed. We had a hot meal, shower, etc. So now, what do? I don't have anybody, no residents. I don't have any faculty. What the hell do I do at this point? So there are things, but you got to think fast. So then, next morning we woke up. I said, Gary, I think the only place I can really go is New York because I've got cousins there, and I'll have to start rebuilding from there. Okay, but I got a ticket was 2 days later. I said you have to wait it out. There was no tickets available from Houston. I said, Gary, I want to go back to my home. Crazy nuts. I said, but don't you think we should cover those huge holes in the roof? Because my home will be destroyed by the time I come back in a month from New York. I said, gee, this is a crazy idea. So then the first thing we did at 7 o'clock, went to the Walmarts in Baton Rouge, picked up the tarps, the blue tarps. And then we put in the back and said, let's go back. So we had to go to the same thing. My ID came back the same way it came. Those guys were great. They had both been on roofs before. I was like crazy. I couldn't do it. They went up, put those tarps. I had to go in. I had to pick up passports, IDs for my kids because they were to go to school. So I didn't want any questions. So pulled that, a few things out. Oh, went back. Best thing I did. So then from there, I'm right now. Then we went to Lake Charles. Lake Charles is where Ginny had grown up. So we went there overnight, stayed with them. And next day we had to go to Houston. I woke up when I was in Baton Rouge and said, whoops, Ginny, today is the deadline for submitting abstract for the Southeastern section. Honest enough. Every year, Tulane was on the Southeastern section meeting, period. So what do I do now? Again, luckily, the good Lord always provides. So I had my program book from Holland that I presented. I said, it's all the abstracts are there. I'm going to submit it. So so they go find a computer. So we went to the public library in Lake Charles. I had somebody with me there with Ginny who said, we'll get it done. Log in, password. I don't know the goddamn password. Because I forgot all that. So I called the Southeastern section. Dr. Thomas, where are you? We've been worried about you. I need a password because I know he's going to be shutting down pretty soon. And I submitted the abstracts. Did that. I said, thank God, at least I've done the job. We've got the abstracts done. This is like crisis moment. The clouds. So then we went to Houston, took the flight to New York. And then, of course, in New York, landed the next day. They were ready because Bush had said anybody coming from Katrina, the kids' schools will be funded, not to worry. So my kids were in school the next day in Sunset, which is midway in the island. One in middle school, one in high school, and they were like, wow, Dad, this has been unbelievable. You know, everybody wanted them. It's good. So life goes on. First thing I do, I get a new cell phone. Because there was none. My first phone call, Doris Storm. She was the one in charge of the RRC. First thing, Dr. Thomas. So glad to hear from you. We're trying to make some connection with, of course, she was doing urology with urology, and we couldn't get anybody, no phone calls, nothing. So where are you? I said, I'm in New York. How'd you get? Okay, anyway, we told that after I said, we need to find my residents. And we got to make sure that they're taken care of. In between Houston, I was able to locate a few by text. I would text, let's say it was Abe, I said, Abe, no answer. 2 hours later, I'm in Baton Rouge. You know what I mean? I said, wow. So I was able to kind of keep up a little bit by the time I got to New York. But then it slowly fell into place where I was able to track down the residents. once we reached there, the faculty were being pushed. Remember, we were amongst the first to do robotics. I was offered another follow-up raise to stay in New York, Detroit, and other places. Money doesn't work that way. So we finally tracked down the residents and said, make sure you take care of yourself. I then went to Long Island Jewish, about 15 miles from where I was staying, because I knew, the people there. And I actually worked with the residents there. It was a unique experience because I couldn't sit still. And Arthur Smith, who's the founding president of the Endo Society, he said, here, take the keys. This office is yours. Go fix it. Go fix your program. So I had a great reception there, and they were very good. So now what do? So I was able to track down the residents. So they were all out of town, of course. So now I have to start negotiating with the RRC, because I think the residents should go where they are from, where they got married to, or a place that close by, so they have connections. So we started calling people, and there are some places that said, well, Thomas, like Denny, who's going to pay for it? I said, wait a minute, are you asking me for money? This is a survival year, and you want to ask me for money. Then I called the chair. I said, listen, who's this person? She's asking for money. I said, I can give you my credit card. That's all I can do right now, but don't worry, Raj, we'll take care of it. But I had to get clearance from Doris Stall and team for every resident. This one wants to go to Northwestern Chicago. No, you can't go. What's that? They don't have enough cases at that level. So you have 5, 4, 3. They know every program, just like so when we got, if you want to expand to another, they know what we are doing here to expand. Anyway, so calling the program directors, program coordinators, the chairs, multiple programs, and then finally we were able to make a deal. And my concern was, if I spend Nathan there, will he be able to operate? Will he be able to get his numbers? Will he be able to be treated like another resident? You know what I mean? And it may take months for him to come back. So we started moving. So Ryan Hanish went to Baylor. Richard Mayton went to Utah. Gupta went to Iowa. Bema went back to Milwaukee. Chris Walter went to Vanderbilt. Michael Woods went to Loyola. Matt Rayner at UNC. Melissa Waltz, who's at Oxnard, went to MUSC. It wasn't easy. But and I was alone. I mean, there was nobody around me. It's not like I could get 10 different opinions and stuff. We just made it work. My wife was like, here's another cup of coffee, things like that. So that was a huge help to have my bride around me. You got a question? Oh, okay. So this is the places, and then I visited them because I had to make sure they were okay. And then I'd give a lecture. A lot of places didn't even start their robotics program here. So we were talking about things and, lectures and stuff. So I met most of the residents. They were hanging in there. They were always concerned, but I think they did very well considering the acute, abrupt seizing of what was going on, I gave them my personal credit card. I had to, because some of them didn't have to use it, but the fellow and stuff, I called American Express. I said, if so-and-so calls, etc., etc. And I got their date of birth, so that they just check the date of birth and just have it at them. American Express didn't charge us any interest for 3 months. You know about that. So all was good. The AUA said we will not charge dues for the year. Section was good. I think the whole community of urology got together. It was really an amazing get together. But some residents had to use my credit card. No big deal. I said, you just survive, we'll pick it up, What did I go through so far is replacing all the residents has never occurred before. First time. Again, we were able to get them where they were going to be trained kind of close to home, kind of that where they knew the topography. So that was, would they get the surgical experience? But we worked very close with the RRC, and they were very, very nice, you know. I was there, I initially dropped out of the 05. And then we talked to, I said, we drop out obviously of the 05 match. That was the thing that we did. And I said, I don't think we can do it for the next couple of years. But those were the decisions that I had to make. Then I'm there, you won't believe it. I had talked to people, I said, our refuge is going to be Tulane Lakeside. And I can tell you, HCA was a great partner to be with. They built up the hospital, and guess what? They got the robot and moved it to Lakeside. Once I heard that, I said, I gotta get back, Ginny. I gotta get back, we can get moving. So the literature, everything with the big things, they moved it.
And that wasn't like damaged by the storm?
No, it was inside, on the third floor, so it was okay. The first floor is all gone. So, I came back on the 28th of September and back to work on the 3rd of October. So, HCA was very proactive in rebuilding Tulane and making sure things started to move. Over the next several weeks, faculty returned. It was fabulous. We had faculty that was absolutely terrific, you know. Rodney Davis was an oncologist. He came back. Benjamin Lord actually was a fellow. He was here and he pitched in big time. Eric Castle, tremendous surgeon also. Dr. Mupari, he was the VA, full-time VA. He's 80 years old maybe, but he could tell you what's on page 1522 of Campbell's, just like that. Unbelievable. Helpson came back, you know, so these are the 5 who were going to rebuild the department. There are no residents, and it had to work. So the dean, Ian Taylor, met with all the faculty by December. Now it's getting to be December. Because, you know, it's tough to meet the budget. We got the state of Arizona called Tulane to move the medical school for $1 billion. Because Arizona didn't have that. Of course, we all said no. One department that we had no cuts, 0 cuts in urology. Dr. Ian Taylor was then replaced by Paul Welton because the dean, he couldn't see cutting so many faculty and stuff like that. So our department survived, even all the faculty came back. Nurses, we have to get the nurses back, research lab. So Dr. McGee lost all his cell lines because we lost the power. So all the years of cell lines were gone, as well as other departments. Emergent patients, you know, charity hospitals closed. So it was, LSU had to leave town. They went to Houma. Oxford was separate. So Tulane Urology was the only faculty taking call for the entire city. Trauma, people on roofs trying to change things and fallen. It was unreal. But our faculty worked hard, really. We helped each other and we made sure things were being done. And don't forget, we had to rebuild our homes. Dr. Castle just got married a few months ago, prior to this. In New Orleans, all their families came here. His house completely flooded. The bride's gowns and all that gone. So it was emotionally also a tough time for all of us at that time. Yeah. All the trauma in urology and the faculty stepped up, you know. What got us moving at Lakeside, we had our faculty and the cases. So we were able to start the robot. I mean, we got busy in a hurry because people were waiting, you know, for this and some returning back. You know, I got cancer, I got a blocked kidney, I got stones, nobody else in town. So Our faculty did a good job. This was where charity moved to begin with. So if you go to Elmwood, the option of orthopedic, the Elmwood facility, that was actually owned by HCA. So gave it to the state to run trauma. So we were at Lakeside on Clearview, up and down, Clearview. Trauma call, this call, but we did. All of us took care of that. And of course, the rebuilding began. So you can see all these humidity and the sheet rocks all had to be rebuilt. And then this is in the medical school. They had to pump in the air, suction out the water. But hey, something that we've never seen before. This is outside our department. So the one in the red, that she was Margot, who was our residency coordinator. So she was, all the boxes and stuff, they did come in and try to salvage all that they could. This is some of the freezers. I've seen that I think some of them survived, but some did not. So then what's the next thing? I said, faculty, we have to work. Because the ROC said you can't bring them back to the other cases. So that's why, what do I do every month? The case logs. I was able to make sure all the case log, which I kept all along, all is there for a reason, you never know. I was able to maintain the case logs from October the 3rd of 2005 until next month. And then we said, Doris, I got this one, so-and-so wants to come back. What do you think? Which level is he? He's going to be 3. All right, we call you back. Look at things, you call back. The first one was Bema. Bema was in Milwaukee. He came back April, May, June, and to transfer. So it took us about 10 months to slowly get them back. The last one came back in 06 to be because of the numbers. So it took us a little over a year to build the numbers up. And then they were able to come back. So that was finally what I wanted. November, I heard the abstract got submitted, baby. Oh, so that was something that I wanted badly. And then Tulane had to be redone again. But if you notice, it took 6 months, but they reopened on Valentine's Day, 06. So now we could admit patients here. Where was the VA? The VA was still there, but if you notice, they have a parking garage. On the top of the parking garage, they had the veterans nursing homes. So they had to be left out. They made that into clinics. So our clinics at the VA was seen on the top of the garage. Surgery was done at Tulane. So they came back here from Tulane to do TURPs, TRB, everything. Slowly started after Valentine's Day 06. Between the hurricane and 06, they were like community care. They go wherever they could go. Charity Hospital transferred patients to the old hotel or on Perdido Street, it was called a University Hospital. So that became finally the new Charity Hospital. Okay. Then, of course, we started the University Medical Center and the new VA. So, and of course, that took a lot of time because they would say, well, we have to discuss the OR. Okay, discuss the OR. And they had the firm was from Ohio. They were planning to have 60 to 70 nitrous oxide, the CO2 for 2 robots that they got. I said, you've got to be kidding. We need to get centralized. The name is Raju Thomas. But no VA in the hospital in the country has pipes CO2. So we've been using it at Tulane across the street for the past decade. Oh, I don't know if it clicked me that. So one day I said, I'm gonna drag you and show you how they installed it, because by then it was open. So we were using it there, I said, oh, okay, we got it done. We got it done. The same happened at UMC. UMC had the robot, but when they were planning, I said, you can't do that's, you're gonna have the nurses do this, and it's gonna work. I had to bring them to Tulane, but they got it done. I had to insist. You see the cysto table in the clinic at VA? Oh, no, I think that's too heavy. I don't think we can put it here. I don't like the word no, without evaluations. So then I had to make my phone calls. So I said, we are going to go walk to Tulane Medical Center. I'll show you the table. So we went there, they were looking, this, and we got it. But you got to fight for what you believe is very important. So saying no is easy. Saying yes is a little more difficult because you've got to analyze, do this. So I think we got most of the things done as we wanted that. The first presentation, Eric Castle, robotic radical system, among the first in the country, Tulane Urology. We are well represented. And then, of course, what happened? Graduation time. So in 06, we had people back. That was Chris Walter and Michael Woods came back. And 07 was Bema and Melissa. Now, the one on the far left was picked up outside of the match. Luke Pfeiffer was a military, so we had one resident join at that time. So he was Luke. The next year was Mater, and the one at the front was also off match. He was Richardson, who finally went to Montgomery, Alabama. And graduation 09 was, we had a single resident, of course, at that time. And that was the upcoming one from the right, 1, 2, and 4 were off the draft. So we had to get them in and we kept moving. So at that time, once I came to 09, I called back to the RRC. I said, this is I think all the numbers. I said, this is the numbers we have. I think we can go back into the match. And then they agreed. Keep those freaking numbers, okay? Ben Lee was with me in the LIJ. He came down as new faculty. He loved it because of the kids and the sports and stuff like that. We were finally back by 14. We had a full complement of faculty, residents, a lot of things. So remember when you have a department, one day you got 50 plus people in the clinic and this and here and all that. Next day it's 0 and you can't locate. I don't think it's ever going to happen again. But I went through it. That was the topmost thing in my life, was where do you get the resident situation? The faculty, it's okay, but getting them others, they would lose their year, repeat a year. I didn't want to put up with that. Faculty and fellows, we were able to track them down. They were all placed back. The clinic started on the 3rd of October with Virginia and folks coming back. You know, there was Gwen, Alicia, and so forth. Janice came back, so people came back. They just they were in Houston and we want to just come back. And housing was an issue. I had to do a lot of work on my home, but that's the way life is. We stayed upstairs, downstairs was being done. But that's life. Patients scattered, but we were able to track a lot of them. When patients came back and said, Dr. Thomas, why did you give me the pathology? And I always give path reports, you've seen them. They took it with them and said, we never had a problem in Houston, Dallas, Boston, Nashville, where they went. I showed them this and they said, come on in. This is your PSA doesn't. So that's what I did. Came into fruition there. Patient volumes had to be rebuilt. The RRC AUA was very helpful, really, they did a good job. Section was good, Endo Society was good. Estimate, everybody, including the Board of Urology, because you have to be in touch with each of your societies, because the faculty were there. I need to make sure that we are back. The Tulane Urology name was there. Helps them go, get to the meetings, present, and so on and so forth. So we made sure we had the connections back. And now, what has happened? This will strike, again. I went through a major crisis with the chemo and radiation in 2002. And 2 years later, I'm hit with this. I said, God, no mercy. But you got to pull your bootstraps up and keep moving. You can never be fully prepared. Never. It's going to happen to some of you. I hope none. I had no plans, by the way. I was thrown into a planless plan, where really, what do I do next? I had to just move with what was done, Your thought process will be put to the test. Your team is the most important. Without the team, I could do nothing. My team was at home with my wife, and at work, we were there as brothers, and there were no sisters. All the brothers, 5, 6 faculty, we just moved in and just took care of ourselves, The team was absolutely fantastic. There we are. Suresh was there, so we all came back, and nobody was let go. So that was 05, and this is recently. $1,800 people died. Some couldn't leave because of pets. Some couldn't leave because of transportation. Some couldn't leave because they couldn't get to it. 1,800. Yeah. So that was the water, and this is street. Mary by Cosby was a staging ground. Everybody was brought there. Bus for Houston, bus for Austin, bus for Dallas, where they could get people situated. A lot of helicopters. But I didn't get caught. 2 days I came back and forth. Because I was not supposed to go. I could see them, but I was safe. That's the airport. People were sleeping. That was a place where people were taken. They had to bring in food and food was done. So the levee was rebuilt. It was fortified. The levee was gone. The water came in. The levee was rebuilt and the houses rebuilt. Okay, so this is interesting. When you take the west end exit, Washington Boulevard Lake, when you went there, it's the same site. This was all the debris that they sent in from all the neighborhoods. Then they would come with trucks to them away. It took months and months, months. This is only one spot. This was around the city. Now this is Champion Square. Yes, some of the shingles on the top, all rebuilt everything. See the light? There was a hole in the roof of the super. Almost 1 year today, we should be checking those. This is New Orleans East. Boats, just were hauled into the interstate and ship went tour highway. So the water took a while to be suctioned out, and they did it. It's some of the houses are still not built. So you can see even the I-10 was tough, so they closed it completely. And this part here is going towards the airline. But there was no access, so I had to go all the way around a hugely long bridge. This is a canal. Well, what did I learn? What did we learn? So this is each department and institutions now have the plans, okay? Don't count on cell phones, remote computer servers, but of course now it's mandated. Email addresses multiple, forwarding emails, phone numbers, communication was important. You've got to have a plan, reopening, key faculty, team members, financial stability, that was important. I had to say, guys, don't worry, you'll get paid. We will get paid, not a problem. So everybody was happy with that. And we all have needs, so that needs to be respected. So I can tell you one thing, it's going to go on my tombstone. Doesn't matter what I've achieved. This is what I'm most proud of. Thanks. Any questions, guys?
Great job, Mike.
It was once in a lifetime.
It's just, hope nobody else goes through it,
It was trying, but it was all, now I can see all of this from up here, this is what it's about. Okay, was it a question there?
Oh, it was congrats, I think.
Amazing.
Big score.
Was it?
Let me stop sharing real quick and then we'll do this.
Oh, we got Neil Baum and Dr. Davis.
Go to
That's Dr. Davis.
the gallery there, though. You got a bunch of people in it.
How are you guys doing?
I have a question. Are you comfortable sharing how did Oxner and LSU handle the situation and how did they get back on track?
They were a little bit delayed. Oxford was separate because they were close to the river, so they survived, but they were not part of the trauma team and all that. So LSU moved to Houma, and then they came back after we set up all the stuff at the interim hospital and so forth. But I had to be there for the planning of the ORs and stuff like that. And then Chris was a good partner also, it's just, was wonderful.
And you gonna write a book on this?
I already started, yeah.
Good. It'll be a New York Times bestseller.
I had a picture with, which I'd show you with, Steven Spielberg. When he was here for the museum, and when he heard that, I said, that times, you got the picture, you saw it there. He said, you got to make a movie of this one. Nobody's had this before, but it'll cost you at least $100 million. Because to redo these scripts and redo this thing. And I got a picture with him when he said, when you get some of the money funded, let me know. I forgot to put that picture here.
Oh.
Yeah.
Raju, I'll just say thank you. I grew up in South Florida, and Hurricane Andrew devastated
Yes.
my community when I was 16, but it was nowhere near what you guys went through here, and it devastated that community. And just your sharing your story and your journey is so powerful for all of us to hear. And I think it's sort of the ultimate act of selflessness, right? For the people and the community and the residents and the institution. And so, I think a lot of us knew you rebuilt this place after Katrina, but I don't know that at least myself, that I didn't know really this whole story. And it's just incredibly moving. And it's just a thank you for what you've done for urology and this place and the residents and really all of us here, because in a way we all owe a big part of that to what you and your team did back then. And I think it's a lesson for all of us in community and leadership and team. So thank you.
So you should forgive me when I say my department, because sometimes I feel it that way. Yes, sometimes I use that word, which is not in vain, but realistically, I feel that. And the thing is, you have to think outside the box, and you got to make decisions. Nobody's talking. There's no dean. Finally, I said the dean is going to say, "How are you going to pay for the residents?" I said, "Go figure." I fixed it. Now you go figure. I had no questions, not a single sense of why, not a single one. So, but the faculty did it. Rodney Davis, you remember those days?
I remember them quite vividly. As I commented to you earlier, it creates a bit of a flashback, it creates PSD, yeah, PTSD, and so it's remarkable that we survived it and did not break down mentally, because it was quite taxing.
Yeah. And the residents are asking, how do you just survive without residents?
Mhm. Well, we figured out we did a lot of the things that the residents would normally be doing for us, but we got it done, and patients were well taken care of, and we made multiple trips to different clinics around the state as well. We had clinic for the VA in Pineville and Alexandria. We even operated in Alexandria so we made it work, and we got the numbers.
Yep. It's a numbers game, and we were really happy. Now, in between, our faculty were the only ones trained nearby. So we would go to Texas, Oklahoma, Florida to proctor, because they didn't have enough proctors then. And since we were not that busy, I said, Eric, go, Davis, go, I go, and we'd be teaching people. And so, we got it done. That was quite I could have done everything in this, 45-minute presentation, but a lot more happened where it was on the spur decisions we had to make. And we as a team did it. We got together and who's going to go to the charity clinic down the street? Let's go. And, oh no, I got a case. Okay, I'll go. So it was 5 of us making those decisions, snap, and we made it work. Rodney?
Now, I think that one of the most important things, and you talked about team, we really enjoyed working with each other. We had great respect for one another. And my history goes back to the days I was a medical student. So
He was
it
much,
was quite easy.
yeah, many years ago. I won't say how many. But yeah. Anyway, so that was the days that nobody will have to redo this, which is nice. Chris Kohler, how are you?
Things are good. How are you? Great talk, and I missed you guys.
Come by and see us.
Yeah, once it cools down, I'll pop back down.
Dr. Tucker, you mentioned you were.
Any questions from this audience?
You mentioned you were the chair of like the oncology department. Was it difficult to get that back running with like chemo and?
It was really a mess. No, we disintegrated. I hate to say it. And we had, I think, 15 faculty members moved up with one. All the fellows got displaced. I mean, we did well. We got some good programs and one go to Mayo, what was it, Loyola, one ended up at Baylor, but it disintegrated. So it was a mess. No, Roger kept things together remarkably. That was, I don't know, Roger. I think you were the only department that was intact.
You were the only department.
Yeah. No, it was quite a mess. And oncology is a little different in terms of the numbers and things, but one of the things that Roger didn't really mention is the patients were so dispersed. I mean, I actually was able to track down my personal patients. I think I had patients in 23 states. Just, huge diaspora. And oncology depends in part on continuity of care, with therapies and other such things. And if you couldn't provide the service, the patients had to leave. And they did what they had to do. If you're in the middle of a chemotherapy regimen, you're not going to sit around and wait for the programs here. Charity, I mean, Charity was gone, never reopened, and getting the other programs and the drugs and nurses, but tremendous trouble with ancillary personnel, not just the professionals, but the nurses and everybody else that it takes to run a program. That was really, really a big issue. But anyway, Roger did well. We did poor.
Of all our faculty, Dr. Kessel's home and my home, those are the only ones fully gone. We were not in the home for this.
Some of the homes, in some neighborhoods, even doesn't matter how expensive it was gone.
10 feet wide.
So he had to wait for the water to go and rebuild and stay elsewhere and so forth. All right, guys, thanks for being here and listening to the story of your department.
Hey, Dr. T, it's Chris Walter.
Hey, Chris, how are you?
I'm good. So this is a great presentation today. Definitely a lot of memories came flooding back. And I was in the chat with Matt Rayner, who was on too, just remembering about, I actually had to pick them up from Lafayette as I had evacuated to Houston and everything that came back. But I wanted to drive the point home that, the transition to, getting the residents everywhere else, it was pretty seamless. And I also want to throw Ian Thompson's name out there as being very instrumental in helping us all out. And I remember the phone call I got from you. It was go back to your hometown, contact the nearest residency program, they will take you. And that, sure enough, I mean, I ended up going to Vanderbilt because I had my fellowship lined up there already, but it was pretty seamless. So, I mean, the way everybody came together was really special and made the best of a bad situation. I will say that.
Chris Walter is on the faculty of the Mayo in Scottsdale. Yeah, and you guys, you were on the senior side, so you guys kept things going as well. So I got to thank all of you residents who were part of the team because, man, when will I get back? When will I graduate? Will I get the cases? What am I going to do next? It's traumatic, whether you like it or not, you know. Thanks, Chris.
You're welcome.
Yeah. All right, guys. I think there's pizza next door.
Good talk, Dr. Thomas.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.